but and we're going to check. Kev's got his teeth in this week. Oh, we've gone live. I knew we'd gone live, and I said it on purpose. I want to drive him crazy. My name's Claire Kennedy. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. It's Wednesday again, and we are doing our Kennedy Street Live recovery talks. And we've got the wonderful Lucy. Is it Rocca or Rocco? Rocca? Rocca. Lovely Lucy Rocca from Soberista joining us today. And obviously we've got my gorgeous husband, Mr. Kevin Kennedy, who I'll let introduce himself in a second. So for those of you who don't know who we are, we're a little charity based in Brighton called Kennedy Street CIO, and we offer support and signposting and connection to anybody and everyone who's interested in recovery from addiction. And what's happened because of COVID is we have got a national helpline has emerged, a national recovery helpline, where people ring us up and ask for help, which we're more than happy to give. And we use this platform to disseminate recovery information, really, because there's so many amazing projects out there. We don't believe, Kevin and I are both in recovery ourselves, but we don't personally believe in one route suits everybody. So what we try to do is we try to offer as many recovery solutions to as many people as possible, and just get the message out there that there's hope, because people can and do get better. And we've had some amazing results during this lockdown, where people have had their lives turned around. I know it's been an awful time for everybody. And personally, I've had enough now. So if Boris is watching, get cracking, Boris, get it sorted. I'm ready to have a cup of tea in a proper coffee shop. Don't know about you, Lucy, but I miss, and I do miss hugging people. Oh, anyway, I'll talk about my hugging thing later. I'll hand you over to the gorgeous Kev, who will introduce you properly to Lucy.
Hi guys, it's Kevin Kennedy here. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all staying safe during this lockdown. And myself, like Claire, I've had enough now. I think it's harder because of we're in the winter time. In the summer, it was a bit of a laugh when we could get out. But I know also, as Claire says, we believe there's many routes to sobriety. There's many different ways. What matters most is that you get there. And today we're speaking to Lucy, who's a life coach, and she's the editor and director of Soberistas. She's going to explain to us all about how this works, where it came from, and a little bit of her own story. So without further ado, over to you, Lucy.
Thank you, and thanks for having me today. It's really nice to be here. I'll just dive in and tell you where Soberistas started from. Shall I get on with the kind of early sort of planning of it, which was back in 2011. So 2011 was when I stopped drinking after 22 years of sort of heavy binge drinking, which culminated in me having a disastrous night of drinking on my own, which landed me in hospital. And upon waking, I decided pretty sort of quickly that I was never going to drink again, because I was terrified, actually, of waking up in hospital and not knowing how I got there, but had no idea how to be a non-drinker, how, to go about getting help. I didn't really know the help that was out there. I felt very alone. I felt very ashamed. I didn't leave my house for about a week after that. After getting home from the hospital, I was pretty big low point in my life, actually. But I did stop drinking. Didn't drink for a long time, but it was very much kind of white knuckling it. I ran a lot. I started meditating. I started writing a blog. And during that first 18 months, I started to sort of realise that an online resource for people like me, who were, at the time I was a single parent, couldn't really have got out very easily to go to physical meetings, that there seemed to be something missing of that kind of type of resource. So I sort of gradually worked out this plan to start a website, which became Soberistas, which launched in 2012. And really the idea of it at the start was just to provide a an anonymous and confidential place for people to offload, really. A bit like I would say to people, it's a bit like a confessional for, you know, your Catholic confessional. It's just, you know, that idea of the burden of shame we all carry around with us when we're drinking, or, you know, we've got any addiction. To be able to offload that in a safe place was so cathartic. And I realised very quickly that you know, that was needed for lots of people who felt like they couldn't go anywhere else for help. That was the original idea. What it has become is a place that really does help people get sober. And I didn't really envisage it would become as big as it has, or that it would be that, you know, as a resource. I really did just think it would be a place where people could just talk to each other and be honest about their, you know, drinking or addiction issues. But it has become a place that gets people sober, thankfully. And 9 years on, we're still going strong, and now got 70,000 members nearly.
Sorry, my batteries have gone in my mouse. I couldn't unmute myself. I'm so sorry, Lucy.
That's okay.
That's I mean it's I'm always really interested in to find out how people started their journey. And you know, I really do identify a lot with what you said about, you know, not knowing where to start or who to turn to. You know, it's a pretty daunting prospect. So tell us a little bit more about how. So you started the blog. Is that where Soberista started? Was that the sort of inception?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had an idea. I did see probably the only time in my whole life where I've had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do or needed to do. It felt like a very strong, you know, vision in my mind of something that didn't exist that I needed to create. And I did see it in my mind exactly how it became, you know, this sort of social network website where people could post blogs and chat to each other in a chat room and just sort of support each other online. So I saw the layout of it before we got anywhere near launching it. But it was writing my blog that did sort of, I suppose, give me the idea or the realization that writing for me was a massively cathartic way of processing my feelings about alcohol, sobriety, all the fears and the anxiety that go around stopping drinking when you've been a dependent drinker for a long time. You know, it was terrifying to me to imagine life without alcohol. I didn't even know, I mean, really, I thought it was kind of a life sentence when I decided I couldn't drink anymore. I thought, this is it, my life's over, nothing to look forward to anymore. Had no idea who I was without alcohol, didn't know how to socialise without alcohol, didn't know how to deal with emotions without alcohol. So all of that stuff I put into my blog, and it was so, I think it sort of fast-tracked me through the process of recovery because I was able to explore all my feelings around that.
It's fabulous. It's I mean, I became aware of you. I'd heard of you because you have been doing this for a while, haven't you? And then one of our volunteers came, who I've known for years. I've known her for years. Really lovely young lady. And we occasionally meet up for coffee. And she got sober with you. So she's a member of your Soberistas membership, and it saved her life. It changed her life and it saved her life. And so that's why we were really keen to have you come on, you know, because she's a lovely young lady. I think the world of her, and I know what it means to her, you know, to have had the support that you gave her. So so if somebody's sort of watching this and they're interested and that they think, you know what, actually I don't want to go down, you know, there's so many different avenues to go down. How would they start their journey with you? What would be their first step? Basically
just logging on to the website, which is soberistas.com, and creating a profile, which is free. There is a small subscription charge, but we've not, you know, we keep it low, very low actually, just to cover our costs to run the site. But it's £14 for 3 months. £39 for a year, so it is pretty affordable. But you get a free week anyway, so you could sign up, get total, full access of the site for a week, and just get a feel of what it's about, I suppose, and see if it's a good fit for you. But I think what jumps out for most people is the community on there, and how amazingly supportive and non-judgmental people are on there, which was always my, one of my biggest wants for the site, was that non-judgment, just to sort of have for nobody to feel as if that they couldn't be completely honest about how they were feeling, and to not get judged for how they were feeling. And that really is what Soberistas feels like. It's so friendly and welcoming. So I would say just create a profile, totally free, no credit card needed, spend a week on there and just read blogs, comment if you want, go in the chat room and see what it's about. And if it's something that appeals or you think could help, then you can, obviously welcome to stay.
Amazing, thank you. And we just, excuse me, I don't know what I put. I'm just scrolling across the bottom there, a link to your coaching, your life coaching there. So I will also put your details. I have also put your details in the biog of this talk on YouTube. Kev, have you got any questions that you want to ask?
So do you feel as though this is an alternative for people who don't really want to go to the fellowship meetings because they can't handle the face-to-face stuff? And do you do courses? Is the coaching to be had on there?
So it is. We do have members who go to both. So we've got lots of members who do AA meetings as well, Smart Recovery, and they use Soberistas as a sort of, because it's 24/7. Obviously, with it being online, it's kind of always there. So we've got both. There are a lot of people who do find Soberistas appealing because they don't want to go to face-to-face meetings for whatever reason. A lot of our members are women. 90% of our members are women. And I think one of the unique issues around women and addiction is the fear of social services and having children taken away from them if they are honest or, open to the doctor or whatever about how much they're drinking. That is a very real fear for a lot of women. So I think we appeal to that for various reasons, but that's one of them. People who don't want to go to face-to-face meetings or the GP because they feel safer being anonymous online. But also, it is, like I say, there's lots of people on there who do both, and there's certainly no sort of prerequisite for one or the other. It's kind of just, it's there for anybody who feels it can help them.
Yeah, I think that's very important, because a lot of people, are very scared of having their kids taken away from them, and I think it's a very good facility to have. And what about the coaching that you offer?
Yes.
I see that you've written a few books as well. Can you tell us some more about that?
I did write an awful lot of books when I first stopped drinking. I had so much to say, but it has dried up, my book writing. I wrote 5 books in about 3 years because I couldn't stop talking about it. It was such a life-changing thing, as I'm sure you both, went through yourself. It's just a massive light bulb thing, isn't it, when you stop drinking and realise what you've been missing, really. So I did write 5 books. And then 2 years ago, I started working as a sober coach / life coach, and do that now alongside running Soberistas. So the coaching is it's me as a individual coach, rather than being, it's not Soberistas, it's not part of the Soberistas package, obviously, but people who find me and my coaching often come through the Soberistas route.
And is it all online, or do you ever get together in the physical?
Yeah, we did before COVID. We had some amazing meetings. We've had meetings all over the UK and Ireland. We had a meeting in New York booked for last September, which sadly got cancelled because we've got about 20% of our members are in America. That got cancelled, which was a real shame because we've got such an amazing day planned there. But yeah, once we're past the pandemic, we do meet up 2 or 3 times a year, and we've had some amazing meetups actually, and it's a good I think there's a lovely bond that exists between our members because they've shared so much online and they've got to know each other online, and then when they meet in real life, they feel as if they're kind of meeting their oldest, bestest friends, which is lovely. So yeah, our real life meetings are great, and I can't wait to get those back once we get out of this situation.
Amazing. Fancy a trip to New York myself.
I know, it was so disappointing. That was my biggest sadness about COVID, that thing getting cancelled.
Yeah, I think there's a great unity, isn't it? It's almost like a tribe emerges, and I think, you know, for me personally, I've been blessed to meet so many people over the years who've all found different pathways, and to me, it doesn't matter what pathway you choose, as long as you find it, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you start exploring as well. So I'm curious to know about it. So for instance, Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12-step programs it's about abstinence, and it's about you know, obviously you don't have to be abstinent to go to these meetings, but you know, a desire to live an alcohol-free life is what really is the focus. Is that your focus, or are you more sober curious type? For those that are watching that are thinking, oh, actually I don't fancy joining something where I've got a wane towards abstinence, what's the requirements are suggested?
It's a bit of a long-winded answer. But I'll give you my honest answer is, I believe if you've crossed that line into dependent drinking, which I did and all of our members have done, the only way to get past that is complete abstinence, because you can't, if you've proved to yourself time and time again that you can't moderate, you're never going to learn to moderate. You know, 20, 30 years of failing to moderate, it ain't going to happen. But it's not a requirement to join Soberistas to become sober as soon as you join the site, because I do believe it's a journey. And I think getting people into Soberistas or any other recovery group is so important so that they can start to make progress on that path towards sobriety. But if we said, I feel as if we said as an organisation, you come to Soberistas and you've got to be sober from day one, loads of people would just say, I can't do that, I'm not ready for that. And we would lose that chance to help people. So I think it's a decision people have to make in their own time, and the non-judgment and the time and the freedom that we as an organisation afford people to do that, I think is really important. I'm a big believer in having to get to that place yourself at the right time if it's going to stick. But yes, I completely agree with you. I think if you are, you know, in terms of sobriety, it's got to be an abstinence thing if you've reached that point where it's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I tried all that controlled drinking. It was a bit like controlled drowning. Didn't actually work.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's especially for me as a recovering alcoholic, I think it's that mental obsession to want to maintain some sort of normality around it. The thought of losing the life buoy, which addiction, for me it was addiction because it was drink and drugs. And that was another question, you know, do you help people look at other behaviours as well when it comes to addictive behaviours? Because obviously, as you know, well, in my case, it wasn't just alcohol I was addicted to.
Yeah.
Many people.
Yeah, I mean, it's the source of help on Soberistas is the community. So it's just talking, writing, chatting to people, and the support that people get from peers, you know, going through the same thing. So there's no prescriptive program or this is what we deal with or this is how we can help you. It's literally just that community, like AA in that respect. You know, it's people coming together who get it, who are going to support you and help you through that journey. Inevitably, other problems come into that because we drink for other reasons other than just drinking, don't we? And so issues that come up on Soberistas include eating disorders. You know, that's a really big one. Drugs do also, you know, an issue for lots of people. Bereavement, relationship problems, you know, there's all sorts of kind of issues that are discussed and people are helped through because they're part of the reason why they're drinking. I think one of the most common crossovers I see is the eating disorders. especially, you know, we're a 90% female group. There are so many women on Soberistas who have those two issues that run alongside each other.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you do find that in all of the recovering communities, to be honest. And do you, you know, obviously I know you're a life coach, but do you signpost to other organisations as well, like FA, Food Addicts Anonymous, or places like that?
I mean, there's a useful resources page on Soberistas, so of anybody who was struggling with other issues, we would always, you know, point them in the direction of that page and encourage them to get specific help for various issues. But I think the nice thing about Soberistas is that you can use it alongside anything else, so it's kind of a little extra resource if you were needing some more in-depth help for, you know, any issues like an eating disorder or physical addiction, for instance, to alcohol or drugs. Soberistas can be used as a sort of an additional resource to that, to give you that sort of 24/7 contact with other people who are going to be supportive and understand what you're going through.
Yeah, it is a tool, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
The way I look at it is my journey thus far, and often people who I work with, their journey is about collecting tools along the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And utilising those tools as and when the need emerges, and connecting. It's so important to connect. I'm really interested in your writing though as well. As Kev touched, you know, on I think it was probably part of your therapeutic process was to understand all of this amazing experience that you were going through. So what were your books? What are they called? Is there a sequence, and where can people buy them?
So they're all on Amazon, and the first one is called The Sober Revolution, Women Calling Time on Wine O'Clock, which is its full name, but basically about sort of like exposing that middle grey area drinking, as it's called. You know, sort of most of our members fall into that kind of style of drinking. It's 1 or 2 bottles of wine a night, trying to juggle family, work, but unable to get out of that sort of nightly habit of drinking, and it's usually wine. So that's hence the title of the book. The second one is like a journal, I suppose, that goes with that one. So it's got space. It's called the 6-week plan, your 6-week plan, and it's got space in it to document your own journey, but with prompts and guidance for getting through the first 6 weeks. The third one is my blogs. So I wrote a blog for about a year before I set Soberistas up. So that one's glass half full, and that's my journey, my first year of not drinking. And then the fourth one has the longest title ever. I think it's How to Lead a Happier, Healthier Life Without Alcohol-Free. How to Lead a Healthier and Happier Alcohol-Free Life. And then the last one is the A to Z of Binning the Booze, which is, as it says in the title, it's sort of all the tools that I use from A to Z that got me through my first year or two of sobriety.
Amazing. And what do you do? Retreats? I mean,
retreats no, we don't, but it's something that obviously post-COVID I would start to, you know, I have been thinking about doing it at some point in the future, because I think, as you touched on before, that connection with other people is one of the most powerful things. And when we've done our day events, you know, people have got so much from those and gone home, you know, with feeling so buoyed up and motivated, and it's lasted a year, you know, like it's really gotten through a long period in terms of motivation. So to be able to do that for a long weekend or a week would be amazing. So definitely something for the future, I think.
Yeah, that was going to ask actually. How does the future look like? What does it look like for Soberistas? Are you going to be doing more day meetings and going to New York, I suppose?
Yeah, New York is definitely going to happen. But yeah, it's, I think, a lot more of that. It is a great thing to have an online resource, but meeting in real life with people who you feel connected to is even better. So definitely more of that, and trying to bring people together. You know, the community and the feeling of belonging that people have to Soberistas is its core strength. So sort of trying to develop that more is where we're at, in terms of meetups. And my coaching, that's very busy. I've just released my first online course, which is sort of dissemination of what I do face to face in a written version, so that I can start to kind of offer that to more people, because my time is obviously restricted in terms of the one-to-ones. But yeah, so that's where the coaching's going.
So tell us a bit more about that then. I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, if it's one thing that's come out of COVID, it's this amazing online platform that, I mean, you've been doing it for years. You were ahead of the time. You were ahead of the curve, Lucy. You've been doing this way before COVID. But for me, I mean, it's just been phenomenal. Zoom. Who knew Zoom existed before?
No, it's really done well, haven't they?
I've never heard of StreamYard. If I'd only known, I would have invested. But tell us a bit more about your online training and your online platform. How does that work, and how could people sort of join in with that?
What, in terms of the coaching, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's private one-to-one sessions, basically. So as you would have with a counsellor, Skype, Zoom, the ubiquitous Zoom, or FaceTime, one-to-one sessions that people, can book to talk through. Mainly is about drinking. Obviously, people usually, like I said, find me through Soberistas, but I do all areas of life coaching. So it's good. It's been a really big sort of exciting change for me, and I absolutely love it. It's so rewarding talking to people face to face and having that contacts. When you work online, we've got, like I say, 70,000 members nearly on Soberistas. They're all anonymous to me, apart from the ones I've met at our meetups, but most of them are completely anonymous. So working with people face to face, even though it's online, is a lovely thing to get to know people on a personal level. And I explore people's drinking, why they've been drinking, what their underlying reasons are for the drinking. A lot of it is around self-esteem, trying to build people's confidence, trying to get people to overcome guilt and regret. When we finish with our drinking careers, a lot of us are weighed down with huge regrets. I was full of self-loathing and low self-esteem when I first stopped drinking. So that was a massive job for me, a big project for me to rebuild my self-esteem. So that's a lot of the work I do with people, is about that self-compassion and learning to like themselves and fill their life with nice things so they don't go back to drinking.
It's amazing. And just for I'm really passionate about family recovery. That's where I started my adventure, to be honest. I started off not thinking I had a problem in the world, blamed everything on poor Kev, till he stopped drinking, and then I realised that actually my drinking wasn't normal, which was a bit of a revelation. But if it wasn't for family recovery, I don't know if I would have got the clarity that I got as soon as I got it. So do you do any work with Soberistas with family members?
No, not sort of ostensibly, no, but I mean, I get a lot of emails from people. I get an awful lot of emails from worried family members, either partners or parents, or even, young people worried about their parents. So it is something that, we are aware of, try and help with. It's not an official thing that we offer, but as I'm sure you do, when you are in this area of practice, you get contacted by lots and lots of people from, with all sorts of worries in relation to addiction. So it is something that I get emailed about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why we do this talk, to be honest, because there are so many amazing platforms out there, particularly online at the moment, like Al-Anon, which family members who are affected by addiction, and Famanon. I don't know if you've ever heard of Famanon. Famanon's like the Sister Fellowship for Narcotics Anonymous. And then you've got Co-Anon as well, which is the Sister Fellowship for Cocaine Anonymous.
Okay.
And obviously Al-Anon's the Sister Fellowship for AA. So there are amazing platforms out there. And obviously you've got other platforms like Coda. We have got, we do put all the links, all of the resource links on our Facebook page. So if anybody's watching and wondering where they can get that information from, at the pin to the top of our Facebook page is like a resource list of all the different support groups. Because families do need, and Alateen have done amazing work in lockdown. I don't know if you heard of Alateen, but they work with teenagers of families that are affected by addiction, and they work sort of alongside Al-Anon. Amazing fellowship, absolutely, from 12 up to 17. So it's an amazing fellowship, and because obviously of the pandemic, everything's gone online. So there's global meetings of Alateen all around the world. You can go to America, you can go to New York, Boston, you can go all over the world and go to it, which is great for young people, because
so needed. There's so much mental health problems at the moment in that age group, isn't there? With this, with lockdown, it's just been horrendous for that age group. Well, for everybody, but I think for teenagers particularly, it's been really hard. So
I was about to say, has your numbers gone up now over the last year?
I think it's probably stayed the same, but I kind of think we've lost, we will have lost some members because of economic, even though we are, we always keep our prices, as I say, we keep it as low as we possibly can to just cover our, outgoings. But I think some people have cut things, haven't they, because they've been in dire straits economically. So I think we've probably lost some, but gained a lot more because of increased drinking at home, and like you say, that massive increase in the reliance on online help. It's just been when you read the reports of how much people have been drinking and how that's increased as a coping strategy, in inverted commas, over the last year. It's horrendous to imagine the sort of long-term implications of this last 12 months on people's mental health and addiction issues.
I think, I don't want to be the bearer of any more bad news. I want everything to be wonderful after this is all over. But my experience of the pandemic thus far has been really quite shocking, because I think there's always been a pandemic of addiction issues, be that prescribed medication is a huge one, and obviously other addictive behaviours like gambling, sex addiction, workaholism. Some people just can't stop. Codependency. Addiction manifests in so many different ways, and we're getting so many different calls from all over the country of people who are struggling with all sorts of behaviours. And I think after the pandemic, that's when the real evidence is going to emerge that, people's real struggle. And this pandemic may have brought it to a head. We've had, like I said earlier, we've had so many amazing results integrating people into recovery virtually, which is staggering. That was a big surprise to us, because we wasn't expecting to be able to do that. But because all of the fellowships went online, we were able to integrate them and introduce them to different online platforms really swiftly. So you ring up.
It has been my experience from Soberistas has been either people quickly realised that drinking the way through it was a really bad idea, so it was the perfect opportunity to stop, and they've actually used it as an opportunity to get on top of a drinking issue, or they've gone completely the other way and just lost all restrictions, all reasons to not drink, and they've found that they've really, really struggled. It does seem definitely to be sort of split into two. But the community aspect, again, with lockdown, a massive part of people's addictive behaviours, self-destructive behaviours, is loneliness, isn't it? And just thinking you're on your own and nobody else is going through this. Access online communities is my absolute number one advice, whatever that community is that appeals to you, to get that sense of community and connection, because it's one of the worst things to be stuck in the house on your own when you're dealing with mental health issues and not to be able to connect.
Well, it tells you that anyway, doesn't it? That gremlin that lives in there, it wants to keep you isolated. It wants to keep you away from your family members, never mind society. It wants to keep you alone. It wants to keep you isolated, and it wants to keep you in a dark place, because that way it has control over you. Then you're playing to its tune, whereas really the beginning is just going out of your comfort zone, doing the things that you don't necessarily want to do, reaching out. And I love the fact that people can, you know, like I say, you're ahead of the game really, where people can reach out to you anonymously, because especially mums, we get a lot of calls from mums who are struggling. And as a mum myself, and I know how hard it must be, you know, to be able to, the shame and the guilt you feel anyway without kids.
I know, I was going to say, it's the shame, isn't it? The shame is horrendous, and that was probably the biggest instigator, I think, in my experience for setting up Soberistas, was the shame I felt was so cripplingly awful. I couldn't even leave the house for, you know, days. At the thought of going into a room full of strangers, and I'm full of admiration for people who do that, you know, genuinely. I couldn't have done it. I don't think I was brave enough. It terrified me. And I think the people who I speak to as well, when you throw into that the worries they've got about bumping into somebody they know, or their children being taken off them, or, you know, you can see why it acts as a barrier to some people. It's a very private and shameful experience to go through, isn't it? So getting people that help online when they can be completely anonymous is a real lifesaver, I think, at that point in your life.
It really is a lifesaver. And not forgetting babysitting. I mean, I had support when I had kids. I was sober, so for me to get out to meetings was nigh on impossible, because I had these two babies. Kev was working away, and it's like, by the time I put them to bed at 7:30, I was exhausted. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people, you know, I mean, it must be cripplingly exhausting if you're drinking or drug taking on top of that.
Yeah.
You know, then trying to get out or get somebody to come and babysit whilst you get out. So I think it's a great platform for mums that are at home that want that do want that support from other mums as well. And I think, like you say, you know, the shame and the guilt, once you start sharing that with other people, the power goes from it. And I think you draw hope from one another, don't you? And
it diminishes. It's massive, isn't it? When you think you're the only person in the world who's got that problem, which I did when I first stopped drinking. I thought there were, you know, you sort of park bench alcoholics here, normal drinkers here, and I was the only person in the middle who fell into this, you know, in-between category that I'd sort of got myself into. It's so not the case. It's like we're all on this spectrum, aren't we? Of everybody who drinks regularly is somewhere along that spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got some lovely comments here. There we go. We've got one off Ellie saying Lucy's books help me so more. And then we've got another one from Ryan saying follow Lucy's blog since day one of sobriety. It's a really good support network. Ryan's great. He's a great, I see he's got Coronation Street there in the background as well. Look, he's got the Rover's Return. A fan as well of Corrie. And what's this one? We've got so grateful for another member who stayed up chatting with me when I stopped drinking. I was so anxious and had panic attacks. I was so alone and couldn't have stopped without that support. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? It's so important. That
it is, and it's lovely hearing comments like that. Like I say, it's, you know, when you've got people who are on the other side of your computer and they're all kind of anonymous, when people do sort of send emails and you get that kind of feedback, or on social media, it's so heartwarming and lovely to know that support is what they're getting from Soberistas, because it's, you know, it's my day job, but it's for the people who use it, it's a lifeline.
Absolutely, and a lifesaver, like I said right at the beginning. You know, this, like that lady's just said, you know, getting through a panic attack. I've never had a panic attack, but I've witnessed panic attacks, and they look terrifying. You know, so to be supported through that,
exactly. And to have access to other people who know what you feel like as well, you know, who've been through it, is so important, isn't it? Which you get obviously from AA and other community, you know, support groups, but it is just that sense of somebody knows how you feel, and you don't have to think it's just you, and it's not something you're going through on your own, which is a horrible, horrible feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, well, it's absolutely delightful speaking to you, Lucy. I really do thank you for coming on. I think, you know, it's a really great platform that you've got. I'm gonna find the links for your books, and I'm gonna put them on the thread as well. Because often it's, you know, whatever works. If it's reading a book, I always recommend books to people. We've had other guest speakers come on who've written some amazing books. And, you know, I'm a prolific reader, and it doesn't matter how the message gets in there. As long as the message gets in there.
The book that changed me massively was, I don't know if you've read the Jason Vale book, How to Kick the Drink Easily. That was the one that completely changed my thinking. It was like this light bulb moment. I thought it was the worst thing in the world to stop drinking, and I read that book and I was just like, why on earth have I been sad about not drinking? It's like the best decision I ever made. It completely changed my... So I always recommend that one to people. But yeah, we've got a book section on Soberistas as well, I should add, with lots of reviews from our members of Quit Lit books. So yeah, I'm a big believer in the book.
Absolutely. I've not read Jason Vale's book. I would like to read that. What did you say it was called?
It's called Kick the Drink Easily, but it was written about, I think it was about 12 years ago, but it's got loads, hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews on Amazon. It's a really popular one, but an old one. But it was just so... He worked with Alan Carr, you know, who did The Easy Way to Quit. He did The Easy Way to Stop Smoking, I think Alan Carr did, didn't he? Yeah.
I think he's on a book for everything now, Alan Carr.
Yeah. So he worked with him, Jason Vale. So it's a similar kind of idea, but it's about... It totally takes the power away from alcohol and stops you thinking that it's in any way good. So you start to realise that you just, you know, you're not missing anything, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Very
amazing.
book.
Oh, well, thank you. Keep us up to speed, won't you? You will keep us informed.
I will, and thank you so much for having me on. It was really lovely to talk to you both.
Really lovely. Have you got anything else, Kat, that you'd like to say before we...
I say thank you very much for coming on.
Sorry.
I just want to say thank you very much for coming on. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to hear someone's journey and how it's affected them and how they're helping other people. So fair play to you.
Thank you. It's been really nice talking to you both. If I know you're putting links on, but if anybody did want to ask me anything about Soberistas or the coaching that I've not covered, you can contact me on lucy@soberistas.com.
Brilliant. I'll put that on the thread as well. Yes. So thank you so much, Lucy. We'd love you to come back and tell us when we get back into the community.
Yeah, and we'll get some meetings organised again in real life, and then we can let people know about those, because they are good days out for people.
Yeah, and I'm really keen on these retreat ideas. I'll be there. I personally love female unity. No disrespect to you, Kev, love men too, but they just generally talk about football. Whereas women, they sort of, I'm sure there are loads of men out there that are watching that go, actually, I'd quite like to go, which is absolutely come along too. But I think some retreats where we could actually, you know, spend the weekend, or like you say, a week. I've got a friend actually who's got a place in South Africa. Maybe we should look into... it's a massive big hotel, villa type thing, and I've got a friend in Spain actually. It's all my ideas are coming into my head now. I've got this friend.
I think we all deserve it after this holiday ban, don't we, for so long?
Oh,
a nice retreat abroad is definitely on the cards, I think.
With lovely food, lovely company, lots of pampering, lots of feeding of the soul.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in. Sold. in. Oh, but thank you, Lucy, so much for coming. It's been really lovely to see you. And thanks.
It's great to see you both. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Lovely to see you, and see you again soon. Anybody's got any questions, please don't hesitate. Pop them in the comments, and we'll always get them over to Lucy. I'm sure you'll have a little look and maybe put the mail on there so she can connect with you directly. But thanks again, Lucy. Yeah, lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.